Now, it seems I am a little late to the party when it comes to talking about these planes, but here I am, and here's Jonathan, and we're pregnant. Anyway, let's start off with a good old disclaimer. Most of this video, or basically all of it, is just educated speculation. No details about this plane are out, and all the information you can gather is based on guessing what probably is, based on how the damn thing looks. That's what speculation means. Which, in my opinion, is kind of more exciting than super duper knowing everything. You know how you watch a mystery documentary, and you really want it to be aliens the whole time, but you know it's probably not aliens. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that it's a boy. What? Really? Oh my god. Now, most of the speculation is based on these videos, so let's take a look at what we can see in this one. So right off the bat, you can tell that the landing gear is out, which has a multitude of meanings. Firstly, this probably means that it's some sort of test or demonstration flight. This makes even more sense when you consider that there's a pretty sizable, most likely temporary, pitot tube at the front of the nose. Is it pitot or pitot? Also, if you take a closer look at the landing gear configuration with the double wheels at the front and the single wheels on the outside at the back, any glorious armchair warrior can take a guess in the comments right now. This is a typical configuration for naval aircraft that operate from carriers, leaving ample room for a tailhook. That's what I would have guessed. You said it was for taking the turns better. Let's take a look at the wing. Strangely enough, at the leading edge, it seems to be a fairly classic swept wing. However, at the trailing edge, it is swept forward for stealth. Now, as for the movable control surfaces, as far as one can tell, those are these thingies. However, those aren't the interesting ones. The most interesting thing about this plane in general, in my opinion, is that the tips of the wings are completely movable. Now, this is probably used for control over roll, but considering that the plane doesn't have vertical stabilizers, which were almost definitely forfeited for stealth, some have speculated that these tips might have some influence over yaw as well. The world is starting to realize the more we sacrifice for stealth, the closer we get to the Dorito. Open your eyes! Now, finally, at the nozzles, we can see this little zigzag, which is typical for stealth aircraft, and once again, has to do with reducing the radar reflection. Now, on to the next mysterious contestant, the supposed J-36. Now, to be honest, we don't even know if this is a J, because that's the designation for Jonathan for fighters, and this plane isn't necessarily that, and the 36 comes from the numbers we can see here, which is how the J-20's name was initially determined as well. Now, instead of talking in general terms, let's talk about what's weird about this plane. First of all, it has 3 engines with 2 F-22-like intakes at the sides and 1 different one at the top. Now, there could be various reasons for this, the most unlikely being that one of the engines is a scramjet meant for pushing through the Mach 3 barrier. Another rather unlikely possibility is that the 2 engines with the intakes at the bottom can be turned off to make the aircraft's heat signature smaller. But like I said, those possibilities are probably not the case. Most likely, it just has to do with thrust. This is a big and heavy plane, and China still isn't quite there yet with their engines in comparison to the US or the West. Another benefit is that with a 3rd engine powering the onboard generator, the nowadays very power-hungry electronics can get the electricity they need, which is a harder task than you think. Now, the next weird thing is that it has 5 control surfaces at each trailing edge, and possibly 3 more on the fuselage. Now, this is truly an ungodly amount, and might, once again, this is just speculation, have to do with keeping this thing stable, as it's a tailless design, and with tailless designs, control becomes a lot more complex. And now the final interesting thing I want to talk about is the actuators. As you can see, the first 3 have the usual little bulges, but the last 2 don't, which means that China is probably using some sort of flat actuators that don't need that protruding housing. But why wouldn't they use it on all of them? Now, this is my personal speculation, but maybe it has to do with the strength of the actuators, as the flat ones are most likely electric and not hydraulic, and hydraulic actuators usually have a higher power density, meaning that if they were all electric, they wouldn't be able to take the load as well during certain maneuvers. Again, maybe. Anyway, there's a bunch of other weird stuff about this plane, but those were the most striking things to me. Keep in mind, this is all pretty much speculation. Also, check out this video on my second channel in the description. It's a nicely cut and edited version of a stream I did. So also check out my Twitch in the description. Like and subscribe, and leave a comment about any game or simulator you'd like me to play on stream. Okay, I'll see you in the next one, or on stream, and bye-bye!